Hi, my name is Isadehi Iragbonte Igadaro. Here's a continuation from where I stopped the last time on Truths Rising from Silence. Before I start, I'm going to read something. As usual, I express my truths through colors, my presence, and sacred silence. My pain has purpose. My creativity is healing. I am whole, even unseen. I speak my shame. My body has been holding it in my chest and womb for too long. I'm no longer willing to break for others or shrinking to please anyone. I've worn shame like a second skin, not because it's mine, but because I was taught it is protection. So I was talking about uni because there's a continuation from childhood to present day. So I was speaking about uni. When I was in my final year in university at Okada, I met someone by the name Donatus. And not long after, we became an item. A few months into the relationship, I was still in my final year this time. He called me one night and said he was having issues with accommodation. So I said to him, how come? But you live in a shared apartment. And he said the person he was staying with, it was his name that was in the rented apartment. So he chucked him out. I then called my parents, and my mom said at the time, because she knew him, to go to the hotel. She had a hotel at the time and just take a room there. So as time went by, he was there for a while. When I come from school weekends, we spend time together. Then I go back to school. So my mom realized that he was there for about 3 months and not saying anything about alternative accommodation. And she said to me, to tell him, what does he think about moving into the family house instead of being in the hotel? And, she would make money if he wasn't there. There was nobody in my room. So I spoke to him about it, thinking he was going to say it wasn't okay. But he was fine with the idea. And that was how he moved into my family house. When I was done with my exams in final year, at this time, my immediate senior sister at the time was going to be called to bar. So I had to travel to Abuja for her call to bar, and then back to Benin and go back to do my project. He wanted to come as well, but he wasn't really financially buoyant at the time. He came with my dad when my dad was coming to the call to bar in Abuja. Not long after that, he proposed to me. At the time he proposed to me, around that time, my eldest brother proposed to someone else at the same time. So we then fixed a date after my brother's wedding. So my brother's wedding was November 2007, November, and mine was December, a month after, 21st and 22nd of December 2007. As time went by, we started planning. He didn't have much. We're working on the little we had, and with the help of my parents at the time, because I was still in final year, I wasn't working. But we're doing majorly everything. As time went by, he was still staying in my family house. I didn't really think much of it at the time, but he was comfortable there. So there was a day I wanted to speak to him about the invitation cards for the wedding. I had to go to his office where he was working at the time, NMPC on Saple Road. When I got there, I asked of him, his name at the time was Donatus Eresha Mokai. So I asked the security for him, and they said he was by the caravan in the office, NMPC. So I was like, what's he doing at the caravan? So the man just bluntly said, he's there. So I went there. I knew he was working at NMPC, but I just figured he was a staff. He was a staff because that's what he told me. But then I discovered he was working as one of the CCTV staff, which I didn't have a problem with it initially, but just knowing that he could be better, and my husband was, there was no sugarcoating. He said security personnel, but it was more of a gate man. So I wasn't really comfortable with that. I spoke to my parents, and my mom said, because by this time she was a member of the House of Assembly, she would fix him up, which she did, and he became a staff at the House of Assembly. He was still staying in my family house while we're planning for the wedding, but he said to me not to tell his siblings because of his own reasons. He doesn't want them thinking somehow, which was fine. So my parents were more worried about where we're going to stay after the wedding. So they went and bought us a property. They got us a house at the time as we'd move in there. And they were working on the house, furniture and all that. I finished my projects, came back to Benin, and we just started planning for the wedding. We went to Lagos for my brother's wedding first. It was really stressful in Lagos because we had to stay in at the airport hotel, and were loads. So my dad's family, my mom's family, so we stayed in a hotel. I think that was the reason behind the Lagos house. My parents ended up buying a land in Lagos, in Ogba, and built a house because there was money. Though I went there once or twice, I've never lived there. I think the building, I've never lived there anyway. Moving on, we had to go to Lagos to do some shopping for the wedding, get some rings and stuff. We got back to Benin. The ring went missing. It was one of the first signs, but I was so sure that I'd put the ring in my traveling bag. And I secured that bag because we ended up paying for the seats, the whole seat. So I was so sure, but the ring just went missing. So we had to get a replacement in Benin. In between, we're going for marriage classes and stuff. And I called two of my friends that I went to secondary school with. One lived in the US at the time, just to information about getting dresses, my wedding dress and bridesmaid dresses. My friend in the US said because of the timing, she could handle the bridesmaid dresses. I called my friend in the UK, and she said she would handle my wedding dress and my veil and shoes. She said to send £1,000, which I did for that. So time came for the wedding, and the groomsmen from Donato's side, one of them knew my chief bridesmaid, which was the person that got my wedding dress from the UK. And that was where one of the major quarrels started. He said to Donatus that the name on the program, this was the day of the traditional wedding. that the name on the program was very familiar. So his groomsman's name, Vincent Azetta. He said he was very familiar with the name of my bridesmaid, on my chief bridesmaid on the program, Pearl Unobaya, Ifoma Unobaya, that she lives in Manchester with him. He said a lot of things, that she's a hookup girl, thinks she's, sleeps with men for money. He said so much. And Donatus approached me and said, I didn't tell him my friend was into prostitution. So I said, what do you mean by that? And he said, there's no way a prostitute is going to walk down the aisle with us. I was like, I don't get it. Someone told you something about my chief bridesmaid. What does that have to do with the wedding? But he was very, very adamant. He was upset that I have to look for another replacement. So I said, that's not possible. I mean, she's not going to move into our house with us. She's just doing her job as a chief bridesmaid. I said, and the fact that she's gone out of her way to buy my wedding dress and come, I said, man, that's something huge. And he was just blowing it out of proportion. I ignored that. He said, as for him, tomorrow, he doesn't want to see her there. I had no choice about what he was saying because that wasn't happening. So the next day, we all got ready. His groomsmen, one of his groomsmen actually made the suits and the waistcoats for the wedding. At the time, they went to Ekpoma together. If all of them went to Ekpoma together, it was my Atafo that made those. They were quite nice, colorful, and all that. It was really colorful. The day of the wedding, I just ignored because there was no way I was telling my chief bridesmaid because someone said she's a hookup girl not to walk down the aisle with us. No. The night before was when he finally moved all his things to the new house. So he stayed in my house for almost a year. Yeah, my family house for almost a year. Moved all his things to the new house because his groomsmen, they all stayed in the new house. And we got married, went to church, went for the reception. His dad, there was something that happened that day regarding his dad. His dad didn't come to the church, but sent a message that the reception should not start without him being present, which was weird. But then again, I'd met him before the wedding and he had this cold reception, not like I just felt that's his nature. Some people don't smile, well, his mom on the other side, she was friendly, happy that her only son was getting married. So after the wedding, we went home and life started with us. That was when the real Donatus Imokai came to play. He first started with speaking to my mom that my outfits made him uncomfortable. That he preferred me if I was wearing bubbles. My mom got materials and told me, it's okay, it's just what your husband wants. This is me who won best wardrobe in uni for years. I mean, I love fashion because my childhood taught me a lot. I started wearing bubbles, which was okay. Then he started complaining about my weight, that I was too fat, that his elder sister said, when you're too fat, you can't get pregnant because the fat stops the baby from the fetus from forming. That I had to lose weight. That was where the abuse started. If I'm eating, I'm being monitored. So I prefer to eat when he wasn't around. Mind you, his sister would call and ask if I'm pregnant. This was a wedding that was just barely 1 week. And because previously my mom had said she was going to give us a package for our honeymoon to travel to the UK, he picked on that and kept saying, when are we going to the UK for our honeymoon? This is a man that works. I didn't even mind if he saved his salary and we went to one small resort in any corner or even a hotel for the week. But he kept turning it into abuse. How can she promise and fail? When are we going? When are we? Your mom cannot just promise. Do you remind her? So the basic things like, food stuff that she normally brings, she'll just drop them with the security man and drive off. He kept saying, who sent her? Does she think we are hungry? I'm not hungry, I can provide. But he will still eat the food. He started booking appointments at Ojobo Clinic. I can't forget that. For them to do a check on me. And the doctor said, there's nothing wrong with her. It was, I just want to be sure everything is okay because I want us to have a baby. In my head, there was so much pressure. And I, for one, know that when there's pressure, things like that it doesn't happen. We're visiting the clinic regularly. He was reminding me to take tablets that I was given at the clinic. It was just like I was in another prison that reminded me of my childhood. He would wake me up very early in the morning, as early as 5:30. People that are familiar with Benin City, if you're familiar with golf course, not the new one, the one that was next to the plaza. I used to run that golf course. He would sit down, cross his legs, and tell me to do laps round. People will make mockery of me. You know the way some people don't have manners. Madam, this is your body, you get a long way to go. They are doing their own exercise. So they were all moving in groups. I didn't know anybody. And he wasn't joining me when I'm passing him, trying to catch my breath, like, just do 2 more laps. I would run. Mind you, I'm someone that, if I'm in a relationship, I like to please because I feel in a relationship you aim to please. But when you're forced out of your comfort zone to do something just to please another person, especially things like weight loss, that I've always struggled with my weight, right from when I've always been a chubby baby, and that weight, it built up. So you met me as someone that was chubby, but now you want me to be a size whatever to suit what you like. So it played on my mental health. The abuse verbally was worse. When we come back, he gets ready, he goes to work. So I started eating even more, times 2, when he goes to work. I would eat because I've done like 6 laps of that plaza. I need food. And the best way to eat is when he's not around so he doesn't monitor me. My body is in pain. So I was even eating times my normal food because when it comes in the evening, I just want to eat light. So you see, that's my own thinking to fill my stomach before he comes. I'm not joking. I was eating like a tuber of yam. I would garnish the yam, fry it, make sauce, sit down. I wasn't even sitting on the chair. I was sitting on the floor in my house. Yes, because I'm madam of the house, Abi. Sit down, eat, relax. I was waiting for my service to go to NYSC. So I was eating. End of the week, he will say, this weight is not even reducing. After all these laps that you have done, I'll be looking at him like this. Unknown to me that he now started counting egg. The only thing he did not count is salt, beans, and rice. He was counting meat inside the pot, unknown to me. So he now started acting strange. He would ask me one question like 4 times. Did any visitor come today? I'd be like, no. He would walk slowly, not knowing he was going to check the pots. He would say, you're sure nobody came to visit? He would go in the store, look at the tuber of yam, or, check something. He would go and meet the security man. I didn't know what they were talking about, but I knew he was asking the man something. And it not dawned on me that he's asking the man if somebody came. Maybe I'm just lying that nobody came. Like, how this food? Maybe there's a visitor. He will ask the man, did you go somewhere? Madam said you go buy something. That one will say no. So I became scared because there was something that happened at that time in my street. There was a doctor that was brutally murdered with her pregnancy, her twins, by the security man. And I noticed there was a closeness between him and the security. Just for information, he would buy him beer. In the night, they would sit by the gate. Because our security man was a Malo guy. And they would sit by the gate and be gisting. So I was like, what's this? In the night, when I'm sleeping, he would ask me, he needs some money outside I don't have, because I stopped putting my money in my bank account because he was buying clothes. There was my friend that went to Okada with me, Ede, at the time was married to her late husband, Ogbe. So I introduced him to Ogbe. They became friends. So we used to visit them. Ogbe had a shop on Airport Road. He would pass Ogbe's shop, pick clothes that he doesn't even need just to look nice. And his salary, which is not much, he would use it to pay. But he would still be insulting me that my mother is not supposed to bring food. I don't even see her because she says she doesn't want anybody to feel that because she's the one that bought the house, she's just coming. So she's coming back from the market, she'll drop hours and leave. He'll be so angry. When are we going for the honeymoon? When are we this? He'll be asking me for money. I would say I don't have. But when I'm sleeping, there's something about me. I've always had this. If I'm with someone that I start to lose trust in, I'm sleeping, but my body, if something is happening around me, I can tell. So I noticed that he was going in the wardrobe, searching through all my things, because really, I was hiding my money inside my clothes. The next day, he asked me the exact money that he saw, and I would say I don't have, to make him more angry. You are sure you don't? Even if I say like 20K, I would say I don't have, make him more angry. Like, he would just be getting angry. Even if we're eating, if I give him food, he would tell me to get him water to wash his hand. This is a young man. And there's a sink just by the dining. He will put me down in front of his friends at every given opportunity that he has. If we go visit his friend and maybe they give us something, he will say I should go and get. And that one will be like, no, now we can, when it's not even my house. He just wants to show that what he does in the house. So one of the quarrels we had, he said his sister was her husband was hosting baristas in his house, and that she said I should come and cook with them. For Christ's sake. I wasn't born with a silver spoon, but in my house growing up, my mom always went to the market when there was no money. And even when we now had money, my late grandmom had shops in Ekiosa. So basically everybody in the markets, they are traders that trade Ekiosa markets. They trade on my mom's property, her and her sister's property. So my mom just calls, bring this, bring this, bring this. She's passing the market. They put everything in the car. So I never went to the market. Not like I'm saying it in a bad way or out of being prideful. No, it just never came up. We need this in the house. We need this. We need this. They buy everything. Even when I was in uni, I was schooling in a village, but I had provisions, and there was this any work, people that would come to wash your clothes. I send them, get me this, so I never went into a market, had to, no. And the sister said I should come and cook. Even when we're doing events, I don't even cook in my father's house. They bring caterers that will do the cooking. So I was wondering where that came from. And I said to him, why would your sister say I should come and cook? I said, and besides, normally we're supposed to be doing honeymoon by this time. He said, don't ask me questions. You are going there. Me, in my mind, I knew I wasn't going. Because if she's a nice person, she could have just called me and said, my dear, can you come to the house so day? Just come and chill with us and just help us do some arrangements. But no, it doesn't work that way. I'm nobody's slave. So I didn't say that to him, but I just knew I wasn't going. And he had a funeral that day that she said I should come and do the cooking. So he went to his friend, one of the groomsmen for the wedding, Stein, for the funeral. They traveled out of Benin. When he came back, he already knew I didn't go, but he asked me, did you go and help Rosemary? I said, no, I didn't go. Before I know what was happening, who do you think you are? What makes you think? Shouting like he was going to hit me. So I was looking. It's not the first time. After all, he takes me to go and do exercise, and he sits down and I'm panting, almost passing out. He monitors my eating, calls me fat. So he wants to turn me to a slave. I'm not doing it. By this time, one of our sponsors, Diodietes, he was doing a Christmas party. He invited us. There's nobody that doesn't know Uncle Dan's Christmas party at the time. Lavish. My then ex-husband said we don't eat outside. He was always speaking for me for any events. We don't eat outside. Hunger go dey wire me. This man go say we know they chop outside. He won't eat. Me, I'm dying of hunger. Food that we don't even have in our house. Those, outside food, how they sweep past the inside house food. This man will say we don't eat outside. Be spreading. So we'll spread. We'll spread. I dey hungry. I've been following him, but he said this Odete zone. He carried me, went to jog that morning, told me, have you taken your multivitamins for the pregnancy? Every time I see my period, his face would be like thunder. This is a marriage that is just starting. We now got to the party. The kind of food that was there, Chinese, jollof, it was smoky. Everything was doing. We sat down. Uncle Dan's wife came. Oh, welcome, newlyweds. When are you going for your honeymoon? Food, help yourself, drinks. See, drinks. This one said, we are fine. So she noticed that we're not eating. She came again. We find ma spreading. No, they eat outside. Say it's a prince from Auchi. There was nothing like prince in that invitation card. Since I've known him, prince that has tradition, they used to stay in people's family house. Me, I don't know that prince. I don't know that type of prince. But prince, we know they chop outside. I know princes now, real princes, that they chop outside. Even their traditional beat, they go put them for corner, they go rinse hand, chop. Say we know they chop outside. I was hungry. So when I noticed that he went to the toilet, I carried the plate, cleaned the plate, because they had this hot towel. Clean it, loaded the plate. Who sent me? When he came out, he was fuming. When I saw that, after all, he's angry. So what he wants to do, better I just eat everything I want to eat. I did not go back to where we were sitting. I sat in another end. People noticed. Even Uncle Dan's wife asked him, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, ma. He couldn't hide it. There was someone that knew my late elder sister. I think the guy knows him as well. They were talking. He wasn't even in the conversation. He was fuming, that control. I finished the second plate, went for another round, picked moi, ate. Who sent me? When I finished, I took my choice of drink. As a foodie, drank. I'm not a